6:30. Paige is letting folks in, admitting people. And I'm going to go ahead and start the welcome so we can get to the good stuff quicker. So for those of you I haven't met, my name is Terry Kosick, and I am the Ready to Grow director. And it's my privilege and pleasure to greet you all today. We're so pleased to have you join us for our third session of our quarterly Art of Living series with Liz Wynette. And tonight's topic is understanding health producing food choices tailored to our body. So, a few quick reminders as we get started and as we continue to let people in. Please place your name in the chat box. And if you are joining by phone, please include your email as well. This helps us with attendance and it ensures you receive the follow-up email that will have the recording, this training certificate, the handout, and the feedback survey. And Paige will be sending that all out tomorrow or Monday. It is Friday tomorrow. Yep. Happy Friday tomorrow. Thank you in advance for completing the survey. Your feedback survey really helps support Ready to Grow's professional development opportunities. We have to share the feedback with our funders, and that's how we're funded for more professional development opportunities like this one. As we move through tonight's presentation, please place your comments and questions in the chat box, and we'll share them with Liz after the presentation concludes during the question and answer portion. Participants should remain muted during the presentation, and we will stop the recording before we get to the discussion portion with questions and answers. This Art of Living series grew from feedback from early educators and program leaders who identified adult well-being as a top need within our early childhood community. Recordings of previous sessions with Liz, the first one was nurturing your own resilience while nurturing others, and the second one was the biology of relaxation. So those are available on the Ready to Grow YouTube channel. And if you haven't seen them, they're worth it. And you can always send me an email after you watch it with 3 or 4 takeaways, and I'll send you a training certificate, or Paige and I will send you a training. So finally, please save the date for our final session on August 6th. Did I get that right, Paige? August 6th? Yeah. At 6:30. The topic is create habits that serve you well. Secrets revealed. So I'm excited about that one too. Thanks again for being here tonight. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter to those of you that have not heard her speak before or heard me introduce her to you all. So I've had the privilege of working with Liz over the past year and a half as she supported my own health journey with thoughtful, practical, and evidence-based guidance. Liz is a board-certified nurse practitioner with extensive experience in cardiology, critical care, family practice, and therapeutic lifestyle wellness. She holds degrees from Valparaiso University, Indiana Wesleyan, and the University of Illinois. She doesn't just have a master's in as a nurse practitioner in nursing, but she also has an MBA. So she has more than 20 years. For the past 20 years, she has led and developed wellness and therapeutic lifestyle programs through her practice. Her clinic is called Clear Outlook. Through her work, Liz helps individuals strengthen well-being, restore energy, and create healthier, more balanced lives. We are so grateful to have her here again for the third time, and it is all yours, Liz.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And through cardiology as a disease is very linked with mental well-being, stress reduction. Inflammation and stress are two of the big causes of many diseases. Heart disease, cancers are two of the big ones. So dealing with the patient holistically has always been a passion of mine. I also was a nurse in cardiac care as a head nurse and I was the administrator of cardiac care, which is why I got my MBA. It was back then when I wanted to be an administrator. The recommendations came out in 1977 that dramatically changed how we ate. I love research. I read research. I used to have the librarian pull out articles of what you hear, the latest recommendation is. I would pull the article and I would lay it out for my nurses and the residents who often came through, and the cardiologists who were in my cardiac care clinic. And then we talk about it. We'd read it, we talk about it, and there were several copies. I knew early on that the research support for a lot of what we said was weak. I knew that what the populations they studied was not at all representative of all of us. I also knew parallel that there were a lot of warning signs coming out, especially on trans fats. So to pretend we didn't understand that when we told you not to eat saturated and eat more trans fats, margarine, was an okay thing to do is not true. The research was already coming out. But what was happening is that the doctors, the scientists who were revealing the problems were often blackballed. So what I'm doing today, to give you an idea of what it took to put this together. Now, the topic intrigued me because I've never done what should one do in general for food and health. This is 8 different talks, 8 different hour-long talks. I had to condense into one, which means a lot of the supportive information from other studies you're not getting. But what I pulled out was at least one or two really good ones so that you could tell that what I'm telling you, I haven't lost my mind. Biology and the science does link with what I'm telling you. And it's been linking with it for over 20 years, which is why I have been creating health naturally through my clinic, which is the best career move I ever made, helping people lose weight and creating health in my life. So I enjoy it. So here comes the presentation. Screen share. Share. Okay. All right. So what do I eat? Um, Health is the sum total of habits we do most of the time: physical, mental, and spiritual. If you've been to my talk before, you are already familiar that you have to address all three. We are body, mind, and spirit. And unless you all address all three, I'm not addressing the whole person. So you will see me address all three. For body, it is heavily biology. Mind, you will get the important for this talk, what are certain key things that is important to set your mind on and why is it important? Habits, of course, are a little piece. And then spiritual. When I do spiritual, I resource when God has given us instructions, which is the Bible. So what you will see is it's not a religious presentation, but spiritual is our connection with God. And so you will see when God's instructions in the Bible completely already told us what science is discovering. And I discovered that pattern about 6 years ago when I was teaching something, and my words of saying what psychology has revealed was exactly almost a quote from the Bible. And I paused and said, where have we heard that before? And then I said the Bible verse. And I said, looks like we could have known all along. So you will see that also interjected because we are whole as individuals. Now, my objectives, full disclosure. The wording in my objectives is the overview of the whole talk and the bottom line of what you should be doing. Just so you know, there's the bottom line. And then I'm going to support it as I speak and give you more detail, putting meat on the bones, but the bones are here. So first, know your intent about eating. It makes all the difference. Okay. How do you choose what you eat now? What's your guiding principle? This topic obviously talks about creating health. All right. So how do you choose? And I'm going to give you a little way to fine tune that. Then understand the benefits of whole and natural over stripped down and processed. Yes, whole and natural is better than stripped down and processed. Why did we get all this processed food? That's an innovation since the 1977s when we told you how to eat. There were no low fat options. There was no reason to give you a low fat option. And if you look at the fat-free salad dressings, that tells you the whole story. It's sugar water. It's sugar water. We took out the fat and we gave you sugar. And for health care in any way, all these experts, to say they did not tell you to do more sugar and, drive you in that direction, that is a bold-faced lie because the Heart Association seal of approval was on all kinds of foods that was the fat-free option, otherwise known as high carb from the beginning. From the beginning. Okay, so whole and natural is better than processed, and we're getting some good processed, by the way. So processed alone isn't terrible, but you got to read the nutrition label and know what the heck you're getting. Okay, and you definitely want to minimize additives. Um, Leave with the ideas for your unique benefits and nourishing meals. Your is in capital letters here on purpose because there's no such thing as a food recommendation for all of us. It doesn't exist. What does exist is eat for your own body. There are natural vegetarians, there are natural meat eaters. Most of us are a combo. But if a meat eater doesn't eat enough meat, he gets sick. He gets hungry, he gets sick. If a vegetarian eats too much meat, they're bloated, they feel miserable. And both are correct. As a matter of fact, my biggest wake up on the importance of being personalized was my husband, who was the head of a science department, and he was a natural vegetarian. He ate some meat, but he didn't eat much. And then he watched me, who, by the way, is a natural meat eater who happens to also like vegetables. We would go out to vegetarian restaurants and eat. I loved it. 20 minutes later, I'd say, Steve, I got to eat. I needed meat. It didn't stick with me. And that was us. We were both totally healthy, totally fit. We were so different. So that was eye-opening for both of us. It was eye-opening for both of us. Also, my lipid profile was much better than his as a vegetarian. Much better. And eggs was a staple in my diet. And it was much better. So again, that was eye-opening. Different people have to do different things, and you always look at how is it impacting your body. And that's the bottom line. Okay, so what will you learn about? Leave with ideas about your unique body. I'm going to teach you about how do you know what's enough protein? How do you know what's enough fat? What are the types that are best for us? And then personalize it to you. Steve could not do many animal fats. He could do vegetable fats really well. Okay. Carbs. And when I talk about carbs, it's going to be heavily the benefits of eating fiber, vegetables rich in fiber, and fermented. And you'll see why fermented is so important. That'll be very brief, but it's very important. You have to plant healthy bacteria in your gut. Okay, and then I'm doing very little on vitamin minerals, but phytochemicals I'm going to do more with. Phytochemicals are colors. The phytochemical is the color in the food, and it is highly anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, important. Important. You know the commercials for Vital Reds? It's true. If you don't eat enough fruits and vegetables, I tell my people, then go buy Vital Reds. Because there are people who don't eat enough, but they still need phytochemicals. Okay. Understand the new upside down pyramid, which I'm doing after I teach you all the detail. And by the time I teach you all the detail, you're going to see the pyramid. And you're going to understand it's about time. It's about time. Okay, since we are not all alike, select for your own body. I give you a few heads up on how to read your body, and ask yourself, how is this working for me? You know, if you started something new and you've got diarrhea, I think you ought to change something, don't you think? So how is this working for me? And then God's wisdom. I give you at the end. Okay. Okay. So intent. I said that was where everything starts. How do we announce our intent? If you are in the habit of saying grace before you eat, you're announcing your intent. Okay. I don't usually say it out loud, but I say it to myself. Thank you, God, for the blessing of this food that we are about to enjoy. May it nourish our bodies and bring us health and strength. Okay. We are about to enjoy. Too many recommendations have made people feel so darn guilty for so many years. It's hard to eat when you feel guilty. It gives you indigestion. It's a bad idea. So decide what to eat and then, for heaven's sakes, enjoy it. If it didn't work, change it. Does that make sense? Yeah, but we are to enjoy our food. Matthew 1, Matthew 6:11. Give us this day our daily bread. Psalm 136:25. He gives us food. He gives food to every creature. His love endures forever. God created what we can eat. otherwise known as whole and natural. Does that sound familiar? Okay, Ecclesiastes 9:7. We are to enjoy it. Go eat your food with gladness and drink your wine with a joyful heart, for God has already approved what you do. They were assuming that the only thing edible for people is what you got from nature. Nobody ever assumed you're going to have highly processed, artificial, man-made stuff that isn't even food. That was never even considered. So as long as you're eating whole and natural, there's some good in it that nourishes you. And then the last one, when you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. Satisfied, very important. Don't eat till stuffed. Satisfied. It's very important. Very important. And later on, there's a little bit more on that one. So everything you needed to know about picking your food, you just got the basics of it. This one I'm not reading to you, but it's a really lovely prayer that some author put together that you can read at your leisure and see if it speaks to you. Um, God speaks the world into existence. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Word, spoken word, so important. What do you say about what you're going to eat? What do you say about your own body and what you eat? Because you're going to create what you focus on. Now, the habit talk is going to go into much, much more detail. But you cannot do, I can't give you a food talk and not tell you that what you think about eating and the words you choose, thinking and saying, are going to create what you're going to get. Um, Death and life are in the power of the tongue. And they that, and the whole side of my PowerPoint is covered up by everyone's picture, so I can't read that. And they that, I think they that like it, it shall, like it shall eat the fruit thereof. What's it saying? You're going to reap what you talk about. You're going to reap your intent. Monitor it. Monitor it. I sometimes hear myself say something that I really don't want to create in my life, and I'm like, oh, and then I change it. I change it because it's not what I want to become. It's not what I want to become. Okay, for the words thou shalt be justified, and by words thou shalt be condemned. So the power of what you say creates your habits and your pattern, because your heart will dictate what you produce. You can't fool Mother Nature. If you are miserable while you're doing something healthy and you keep having this talk, I hate this is terrible, you will not create a habit of liking it. There are things I do that are good for me that I don't necessarily like. Like I put chia seeds in my morning shake, okay? Chia seeds are really good for you, but they get stuck in your teeth. So now you have to floss, which is good for us anyways. But if I don't floss after drinking my morning shake with the chia seeds, I will get little black dots in my teeth. Do I like black dots in my teeth? No. Do I like the health benefits of chia seed? Yes, so I do it. I do it. You do what is good for you, okay? We create what we focus on. Um, and that again says focus on things that are just, pure, commendable, excellent, praiseworthy. Train yourself. Train yourself. How to change a habit. Okay, here's the habit talk in a nutshell. Ready? You notice what you don't want. You say stop with authority. Now you replace it with what you do want. Your new solution. Habits are old solutions. That's why they pop up. It's time for action. Pops up the old solution. You don't like it, you say stop. Then you pick what you want to do instead, and then you're happy you did it. You're going to get a whole hour on this, but there it is. You're going to get supportive information for this truth. Stop, replace, rejoice. Okay. You eat cookies during the commercial. You're tired of gaining weight. So now you're going to make a salad. That's the replacement. So you see the cookie, you say stop. You make the salad. Now while you're sitting watching the TV show, you're eating a salad instead of a cookie, and you are so happy about this. Rejoice. That's going to become your new default. Commercial comes on, you're going to think salad because that's the formula. And again, you'll hear why. Change is possible. Why do you think I teach anything? Change is possible. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power, which is often interpreted as courage, and love and self-control, a sound mind. Can you have self-control? Yeah, you can. It's all over the Bible. You can have self-control. So you don't have to be afraid about it. And today you're going to get more steps. What do you choose when you eat? Next one. Understand the benefits of whole and natural over stripped down and processed and additives. Hippocrates knew that, the father of medicine. Let food be your medicine and medicine your food. I put down modern medicine, but that's a lie. He would not recognize what we're doing today. He would not claim it. He would not recognize it. He held a belief that the body must be treated as a whole and not a series of parts. You don't poison one part of your body and starve it to heal another, unless it's a temporary situation and you know the outcome will be good. But you don't make that your lifestyle. The recommendations for heart health involved a lot of bad advice, unproven. The China study is what I pulled out of my presentations because it ties together a lot of information. This is a study in 2005, and it came up with 8 basic principles about food which completely stand up to time. They're still current. They studied over 750 studies, over 750. And this is the 20 years of research summarized. Now, I added things in green that is not in the China study, but it clarifies it and with things that I thought were very important. Principle 1, nutrition represents the combined activities of countless food substances. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. See, we know the nutrition, let's say, of an egg, but the egg does so much more. And we don't always know the reason why an egg is such a complete, perfect food. It always was. And it was on the hit list, wasn't it? And then the egg white came back. And then finally the yolk is back. And now the egg is back on a pedestal where it deserves to be. But it's because of the whole egg. You can't suddenly take iron and vitamins and say and protein and say I had an egg. Because the parts of the egg play together. God knew what he was doing when he assembled the egg. Principle 2, vitamin supplements are not a panacea for good health. Here's why. Here's an example. People with scurvy, scurvy is when your gums start bleeding. You can't make collagen because you don't have enough vitamin C. C is a precursor for making collagen. So people with scurvy get put on high dosages of vitamin C. They have to start eating foods with vitamin C, and now they're better. And for some people, they said, I never liked these foods with vitamin C. Never liked them. I'm just going to keep taking the vitamin C. And guess what happened to them within a few months, about 3 months? Scurvy came back. There were other ingredients in the foods rich in vitamin C that your body needed to use the vitamin C. We don't even know what they all are. But we do know you had better eat some whole food. So what am I telling you right now? A pearl of wisdom. If you're short on a nutrient and you take a supplement, good. Do something, some food that ingredient is in, because that food's going to have other things that'll help your body use the vitamin or mineral you're taking. Does that make sense? It's like iron. Long time we've been told take iron with orange juice because you need vitamin C to use it. That's why. Okay. So again, eat foods that are high in the ingredient that you're low on to help your body use the supplement better. Principle 3. There are virtually no nutrients in animal-based foods that are not better provided by plants. Virtually no. This is correct. It's a true statement. Now, let me tell you the missing piece. Protein. Protein. It is very hard to get enough protein from vegetable sources. As a matter of fact, the soy is one of the only ones we know of that is thought to have all the essential amino acids. But I'll tell you something that makes me question how good is soy all by itself. Bragg's liquid amines is commonly used by vegans to make their, different patties and stuff because it's soy protein. Well, it lists the amino acids. It was missing an amino acid. My bottle was missing an amino acid of the essential ones. And I'm saying soy is supposed to have all the essential. So again, might be something the producer did, but it made me question how complete it is. But you're going to get more of that when I get to protein. Vitamin B12 is missing from vegan diets. we've lost it in our vegetables. It used to be in the vegetable. Through our farming techniques, whatever we're doing to the environment, vegetables don't have enough B12 if they have any. So vegans have to supplement with B12. This is when vegans get really sick if they didn't know they're supposed to supplement. And they have to supplement with very high dosages. Okay. Um, okay, principle 4. Genes do not determine disease on their own. Genes function only by being activated, turned on, or expressed, and nutrition plays a critical role. I have a separate class on epigenetics. It's how you turn your genes on and off. And in case I ever end up giving that for you here, spoiler alert. Multicolor fruits and vegetables, eggs, liver, good sources of protein. Boom, you got it covered. You got all the ingredients you need to turn your genes on and off. Isn't life wonderful? Just eat the balance that I'm going to talk about today. You're going to do great. Um, Principle 5. Nutrition can substantially control adverse effects of noxious chemicals. Bold statement. And you know what the key ingredient is? Green vegetables detoxify. They have an active ingredient called alpha lipoic acid. Normal dose for people is 200 to 800 milligrams. It detoxifies. All my patients are put on alpha lipoic acid once they start losing weight quickly, because fat is where your body stores heavy metals, mercury, aluminum. So when you lose fat, all that pollution gets back into your blood. So I tell them to eat greens, but I tell them, take this, because I'm not depending on you eating enough greens. And I will tell you, eating greens is not going to give you this dose. So when you are literally in the process of detoxifying your body from some heavy metal pollution, take alpha lipoic acid. I take 200 milligrams as a maintenance because we're all getting pollution every day. Okay, but it is the green. That's what detoxifies. Okay, principle 6. The same nutrition that prevents disease in the early stage, helps you not get it at all, can also halt it or reverse it. Yes, good nutrient, good diet is generically good. What you'll get is every now and then some food is called a superfood, but you know what superfoods are? It's just going back to whole foods. And most food has some incredibly uniquely wonderful thing. And as we discovered foods that are undoing the great damage we did by the recommendations we gave you in 77, they suddenly are called superfoods. The latest is the egg. But the egg was the basic for all breakfasts. That was the basic. And then we went to cereal. Disaster. Okay. This is plaque in a blood vessel. The same nutrition that prevents it can also reverse it. This is a special type of plaque. It's all fluffy. These are dead white blood cells. Very thin membrane. Some plaque is dense, more like solid scar tissue, just dense. That takes longer to grow, 20 years. This grows in about 5 years. Well, what's with the dead white blood cells? That comes from LDL cholesterol that is used to build every membrane you need it to build, to repair, when it's been oxidized. Free radicals pulled off an electron, and now it looks different. And when it's oxidized and your body pulls it into the cell wall to repair it, to build it, the white blood cell says, you don't look right. And it starts wanting to kill it. And then the white blood cell dies. This is a plaque that grows in 5 years versus 20. So when we did, and you're going to hear more about oxidative damage, trans fats, the margarine we were told to eat instead of butter and lard, is the single most inflammatory fat for the human being. We started seeing more of this stuff when we stopped eating our normal fats and we ate the stupid margarine that was never proved safe. That's what you got. Quick growing plaque. And then what happens is the little membrane rips. And when it rips, a platelet comes by, opens up, and now you got a blood clot. So within 1 hour, you're completely occluded, where the old type of plaque used to take 20 years, which gave you enough time to build collateral circulations if you exercise. So you had less heart muscle at risk. This is the worst thing we could have done for heart disease, and we did it. Nutrition that truly is beneficial for one chronic disease is good for another. When I talk about colorful fruits and vegetables, you're going to see the same thing repeated over and over. They just, different colors do a little more of one thing than the other, but they're all good. Good nutrition creates health in all areas of existence. And the principle there it's talking about is if you care about your food, you will care about pollution. You will not be happy with the farm being watered by a body of water that has a bunch of junk in it. So we'll start taking care. In other words, we're going to go back to the original purpose of environmental protection, which was stop the pollution, do things as clean as you can. It's not the distraction created by our climate is changing at a point that man has created it and only man can reverse it, which we never have been able to reverse. And we never, if you've ever been in the desert, you're going to find out that there are fossils from sea creatures in the desert. What the heck is with that? That's a pretty big climate change. The earth has always changed. Should we stop polluting as much as we can? Oh, you bet. Okay, so what do I eat? Next, protein and fats. I'm going to talk about in more detail, and then I'll get to fiber and fermented. Okay, food label. That's so you know what the heck you're getting, right? Always look at the serving size. Notice the calories per serving size. So whatever this is, there's 8 servings and 3/4 of a cup is a serving. It's always in this order. The fats will be listed. They still pull out saturated for no darn good reason at all. I am telling you. Definitely, they added trans fat. That's the new thing. Yeah, that's what they should have added from the beginning because trans fats are dangerous to the human body. Tra Man-made trans fats, not so much the ones that occur naturally in nature. The margarines. That's what is toxic to the human body. They'll tell you cholesterol, sodium, carbs. Carbs, the fiber, very good. Nice they mention it because it's very good for you. Natural sugar, that's this. And then added sugar. This is a valuable tool for you. If you buy orange juice, you're expecting sugar. It's an orange, for heaven's sakes. But you know what you're not expecting? A bunch of added sugar. So if you see a label and the added sugar doesn't fit what you bought, what you got was watered down, flavor enhanced, and sugar added. So that's a little heads up there. How doctored up is what you bought? Added sugar. Now, if you buy a pastry, I'm expecting mostly added sugar. Why? Because it's got sugar, right? A pastry is not a natural substance, it's something man created, and you usually need some sugar. So added sugar is expected. Then it's not as terrible of a thing. And then it tells you vitamin D. Why? Because we're badly low. Why? Because it's a natural vitamin found in the fat of milk. We told you to go fat-free. Can you get vitamin D from fat-free milk naturally? No, you can't. All you can get is fortified, and man-made vitamins are not as good as found in nature. You need a fraction of a vitamin in nature versus the supplement that's man-made. Just telling you. Okay. Next, protein. Okay, these are all excellent sources of protein. Absolutely excellent. What is considered the gold standard? Right here, the egg. Always was. And we took it out of your diet. And it is one of the ingredients in your diet that is the most epigenetically active. It has got all kinds of stuff in it your body needs to turn genes on and off. Turn the healthy ones on, turn the unhealthy ones off. The egg, we got rid of that. Okay, of course, legumes, wonderful source of protein, especially for vegans. And here are other excellent, including nuts. Okay, why do you want protein? You need protein for metabolism to hold on to your muscle. 70% of your metabolism is based on how much muscle do you have. That's why men usually need more meat and protein than women because they have more muscle than we have. They're genetically programmed to have more muscle, and women certainly can have a good amount of muscle, but you have to work at it more. We all have to work at it. Okay, it helps calories be burned because that's your metabolism. It reduces the feeling of hunger. It reduces your appetite so you can stop. Less calories needed to feel satisfied. Isn't that a good thing when you eat it from protein versus carbs? Carbs will make you hungry. Cravings go down if you eat enough protein, especially if you have a little protein snack in the evening. Meat has no glycemic index. Glycemic index means raises your blood sugar. Meat doesn't raise your blood sugar. There's one condition under which it does, which I'll get to in my slide. It has, but generally speaking, the right amount doesn't raise your blood sugar. It is important. It regulates ghrelin, is the hormone that makes you hungry. If you eat enough protein, you make less ghrelin. Leptin makes you feel full. If you eat enough protein, you make more leptin. How cool is that? You're making the hormone directly that makes you feel full. You're making less of the one that makes you hungry. You know what makes more of the one that makes you hungry? Carbs. And we gave you a fat-free salad dressing, didn't we? High carb, almost all sugar, no fat. That's what we did. This is not a mystery what happened to humanity. Okay, so that's that. Oh, diets with low carb and more protein. General study trend. It improves triglycerides and HDLs, less triglycerides, more HDLs, and decrease incidence of heart attack, stroke, heart disease, and you're less hungry. Go figure. We've known that a long time. All right, so this is the big study I decided to pull for you to give you the bottom line on why it is safe to eat red meat. It is safe, and to eat saturated fats. There's another one I'm going to show you later on that. So this is 5 systemic reviews, 5 major studies all over the world, 7 different countries, started looking at the research that was available before 2000. This was published in 2019. So research that was available up to 2013, 77 to 2013, and said, did you have anything that proved that we should have been doing what we were doing? And the studies showed 7 different countries, the impact of meat consumption on cancer, heart disease, general death, among other effects. And what they found was the guidelines that came out all across the World Health Organization, the Heart Association, the United States government guidelines, did not have research supporting what they did. The authors of the new study argued people should continue doing what they're doing and only adjust for your own personal health needs of eating unprocessed meat, of eating red meat and even processed meat. That it's because the health impact of cutting back is either non-existent or so small, the evidence is so weak that it would be misleading to make a person make a major change that they don't feel like making and pretend they're going to have health improvement. This got published November 2019, and it was published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. This is as good quality research as you can get, is a systemic review, and they combined 5 of them and made it even more powerful. And the answer was, nope, didn't find any trends to warrant what we did. Mediterranean diet has incredible support. It has had support from the beginning, like 2077. Am I doing that wrong? 1977. Mediterranean diet we already knew was good for you. So this is me having a wonderful vacation in Greece and Italy. So this is what they eat. Breakfast, you get yogurt. You get yogurt with everything. This is a side of yogurt. You get yogurt with everything. It is always full fat. There is no such thing as fat-free yogurt in Europe except little containers in vending machines because nobody is dumb enough to do it. The vitamins are in the full fat, and you want the probiotics, the bacteria. You need the fat in the yogurt to protect the bacteria to make it through the acid in your stomach. If it is fat-free yogurt, most of the bacteria will die in your stomach. So if you think you're doing something healthy by eating the fruit-laden, fat-free yogurt, you're completely wrong. And if you're giving it to your kids, you're completely wrong. You're giving them a high-sugar snack. You want plain Greek yogurt, add your own fruit, drizzle honey on it, boom, full fat, full fat. So greens is with everything. Big salads with everything. This is a great buffet. There's a wide variety, especially of seafood. You've got all kinds of legumes, olives, great, great food. This is a typical looking salad. It's huge, and you get it with your meals. The breads are made from whole eggs. They have very good flour in Italy and Greece, much better quality than ours. And olives with everything. And is there meat? Well, let's see. Main dishes. Let's see what the main dish is. The main dish here is a beef burger, chicken fillet, chicken nuggets, pork steak, pork souvlaki, beef steak dry and aged, lamb chops, salmon, grilled trout. Yeah, there's meat. Yeah, there's meat. Are there vegans on the Mediterranean diet? Yes, just like there are here. But that's not the basics of the Mediterranean diet. And they're animals. The fish come from the ocean, and they're not farmed. They're from the ocean, and the animals are grazing, grass-fed animals, and you're going to see the benefits of that. And the study, by the way, that China study, a lot of the studies it looked at, they were already looking at meat from corn-fed cows. When you separate corn-fed from grass-fed, you get a different nutrition profile. Much healthier fats, much healthier fat profile. Doesn't mean you can't eat the other, but try to get some of the grass-fed in because you're going to get good fats that you want. Increased consumption of refined and processed foods is what happened when the Heart Association said, get the fat out. They did. There would have been no trans fat margarine without those recommendations. There was no reason to do it. Lard, beef tallow, whole butter, people liked it. They preferred the taste of it. And we would have kept using it and we'd been better off. Food became cheap, but it was important to taste good. And most things that taste good and look good have added food coloring, preservatives, other additives to taste good, and the nutrients started falling by the wayside. Convenient, abundant food that were designed that you want more. The word for wanting more in the food industry is moreish. Um, People who create a product test it for the moreish scale. Does it make you want more? And I'm going to tell you what the secret is to wanting more. Salty, crunchy, and good texture from fat. Those are the three ingredients that the human body will often want more. Why do you think that salted caramel is everywhere now? Salty, sweet, crunchy. They have figured out that'll make you want more. So don't feel like it's just me, I'm the one that has to eat more. No, 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 no. The food industry created the food so you want more. So now use your head, portion it so you don't end up eating more than what is good for your body. Does that make sense? And I'm not telling you don't eat any junk food. I can tell you my favorite, but I buy small bags and I watch how much I eat. Okay. Um, Added corn syrup happened to everything. When I moved to Indiana, I remember asking my husband, why does the world need so many cornfields? Because corn oil and corn syrup replaced the other whole and natural. Okay, altered food became not food eventually. My son calls it food-like substances. He's a chiropractor. All right, so here's what we're made out of. We are about, this is ideal person, and this slide is from a gym. So don't freak out. Most of us never get there, and I don't even agree that you have to strive for this. But the ideal body, this is what you would have. Men generally, we say under 20% fat, women under 30, just so you know that. This ideal body said the man is 15% and that the woman is about 27. So they're definitely shooting lower. Essential fat, we don't have that much essential fat we need. 15% of us is bone. Muscle is 45 for the man, and I can't see the woman one. I want to say it's around 30 something, 36% for the woman. I think I remembered when I could see the whole slide. Okay, so different amounts of muscle, different amount of protein you have to eat to keep it. Okay, this is what protein is used for, everything in your body. That's the easiest way. Blood, hormones, enzymes that digest your food, you need protein to do it. Every cell membrane in your body needs protein. Okay. Amino acids. There are 20 amino acids. Those are the building blocks of protein. 9 of them are essential. Whenever you hear the word essential with nutrient, it means you must get it from your food. You can't make it yourself. So there are 9 essential amino acids for adult and 10 for children. They can't make it without getting it from their food. Okay. Meat, milk products have all the essential amino acids. Boing, covered. Plants do not. So what do vegans do? They match up plants. They're called complementary proteins. So there are foods where one food has one group of essential amino acids, the other food has the other, and together you have all the essential. But I'm going to show you mathematically that you really have to eat a lot of food as a vegan to get enough quantity of the essential. Okay, and I'm going to show you that. But animal products, complete. Hence the China study. There's virtually nothing in plant that isn't better in plant than animal. The answer is yep, you're basically right, but not for protein. Not for protein. That animal is far superior because it has all the amino acids, and you're not going to fall short. Um, all right, I essentially said this to you now, so that's good enough. And complementary proteins, this is sort of fun. Picture yourself going to a vegetarian restaurant. Ready? Ah, hummus and pita bread. Yes, yes, that's a staple in vegetarian restaurants. It's a complete protein. Spinach salad with almonds, complete protein. That's a common food, isn't it? Peanuts and grain, so nuts and grains. Peanut butter on bread, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're getting your peanut butter and grain. Grains, nuts, and seeds, chia seed, flax seeds, so good for you, and legumes. Rice and beans, that's a staple for vegetarians if I ever heard it. Lentil and barley soup, very popular. So vegans know how to put food together. I hope they know. So they get all the essential amino acids. But what do you have to do to get enough quantity? Okay. When you eat protein, you have to have enough bile to, well, that's for fat, never mind. The gut has to make acid and enzymes to break down the protein. People who are always on chronic use of heartburn medicines, the Prilosec, etc., you sometimes have trouble getting enough nutrient from your protein. You need the stomach acid to digest it. So we have some practices that are a bad idea to get enough nutrition. Okay, chronic use of antacids, bad idea. If you have a hiatal hernia and your esophagus is in trouble, you're going to have to use an antacid. Okay, but for most of us, it's not needed. Protein is not stored, it's put to use. What does that mean? You use it to build your muscle. So let's say I'm looking at the audience and I don't see any men at all. I see women. So most of us have enough with 3 to 4 ounces of protein. But you had a 12-ounce fillet. What happens? The extra protein gets converted, broken down into a fat, or converted into a carb on its way to being stored as fat. So, can a diabetic's blood sugar go up by eating just protein? Yes, if they eat too much. Part of it's converted into glucose. Because remember I said meats have no glycemic index? This is the condition under which they get it. You ate way too much and your body broke it down, made it into a carb. Okay, so that's good to know. Eat a reasonable amount. Eat a reasonable amount. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what reasonable is. Protein is packed, when it's naturally packaged, it tends to be the best for us. You have to eat it to feel full. You have to eat it to keep your muscles. You can't afford to lose your muscles. That's what happened with people who used GLP-1s but never learned how to eat. They ate as instructed. They had more grains. They had less meat. They had less fat. They lost their muscle. And that's where they're stuck on it for the rest of their life. But no one is stuck on anything for the rest of your life if you learn to fix it. So what did I put here? The palm of the hand. For most people, the palm of your hand is the right amount of protein. Guys tend to have bigger hands. Isn't it wonderful how this works out? For most women, the palm of your hand is a deck of cards. A deck of cards is 3 ounces. So I have a picture of a deck of cards. Put it on your hand. That's 3 ounces. For a guy, there'll be palm left over. That's 4 ounces. So most guys' palms are 4 ounces. Most women's are 3. Women can eat into their finger, this size. Isn't that like a breast of chicken? Yeah, that's usually 4 ounces, which for many of us is what we need. Men, 4 to 8. Women, 3 to 4. As a general rule, if you're working out a lot, you need more. Okay, but that's the general easy peasy, don't want to give it much thought guideline. Eat the size of your hand. You're going to do good, about a half an inch thick. Okay, and these are all good sources of protein. Okay, does one size fit all? No. The old recommendations from the FDA were zero point 0.8 ounces of protein per kilogram per day. Too low. Too low. Zero point 0.8 is what you eat if you are basically inactive. Now, this is from a gym again, so they show this person looking like they're sleeping. Well, that's not true. Many of us are quite inactive. If you have a job where you're sitting most of the day, you get home late, you cook, you sit, you watch TV. Guess what? You're inactive. And zero point 0.8 might be enough. Okay, it might be enough to support the muscles you have, but it also means you need to start making more muscle. What are the new recommendations telling us? 1.2 at least. Yes, that's for normal daily activity, which normal isn't normal for a lot of us Americans anymore. You're not walking a half an hour most days, half hour to an hour. You need to use your muscles to keep them. So 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of weight is what the new recommendations are saying 1.2 to 1.6. Go figure. They take care of women and men. This is such a wonderful thing. And this was consciously, we were advised, not enough. Okay, so I am not going to sit here and do all the math with you because I don't have enough time, but I'm showing you what I'm giving you. 1.2 grams per kilogram is what I used as my target here. There are 7 grams of protein per 1 ounce of meat. 7 grams per 1 ounce of meat. That's the ballpark. 7 to 9 grams per an egg, depending on if it's a small or a large egg. 2.2 pounds equals 1 kilogram. So you take Jane, 160 pounds, divide her by 2.2. Now I got her kilograms, 72.7. I multiply it by 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram, right? Now I got 87.24 grams. I divide it by 7 grams to make an ounce of meat, and I get 12.5 ounces. Your hand, 3 times 4 ounces is 12. Go figure. So Jane needs to eat about 4 ounces 3 times a day, which is what I just told you. For a woman, it's the palm to the whole hand. Isn't this wonderful? And then I did the same for Rob, who weighs 250 pounds, but I did Rob with 1.2 grams, the typical normal activity. And then I did Rob in case he works out a lot. And you can see that goes from 19 ounces to 26 ounces. So if you're really bodybuilding, you need a lot more. Divide 26 ounces, by 4. Um, um, 7 grams per protein per ounce, 26. So divided by 7, you're getting about, am I doing this right? 8.7. He needs 8.7 ounces 3 times a day. So that would be for us 2 whole handfuls of protein 3 times a day. No, women should not be eating both hands. Okay, so again, that's you can go back study it, but I hope you get the basic idea. It's not that hard to figure it out. I don't think people ought to be doing a bunch of math. I think using the palm of your hand most of the time, you're going to do great. You're going to do just great. Now, here is vegetable sources of protein. 1 cup of white rice. Remember the rice and bean things for the vegan? 4 grams of protein, 242 calories, and 53 grams of carbs. Woo! Let's eat it with our beans. You'll get 15 more grams of protein from 1 cup of beans, so that's even 1 cup, 227 calories, and 41 more grams of carbs. So this vegan with 2 cups of rice and beans is getting 19 grams of protein, not the 28 I said most women need per meal, by the way. They're getting 470 calories and they're getting 94 grams of carbs. That's a lot of carbs, folks, and it's not very buffered. Okay, so now let's look at meat. 3-ounce salmon, 21 grams of protein, only 120 calories, and really, salmon doesn't have carbs, but this source I had gave them 1 gram. They added something to it. An arm pot roast, 29 grams of protein, 3.5 ounces, 297 calories, no carbs. 4 ounces boneless, skinless chicken, 23 grams of protein, only 110 calories, no carbs. 3.4 ounces, a half a chicken breast, which is a typical chicken breast we see. 29 grams of protein, only 193 calories. Do you see how little calories you need when you eat enough protein and don't eat the highest fat amount of protein? And you don't have any carbs. What does that leave you? Go eat your vegetables. Okay? Very hard not to eat way too many carbs as a vegan and get enough protein. Very, very hard. Okay, eggs. One large egg is 7 to 9 grams of protein. They are considered the gold standard for the protein, the ideal protein, the egg, which we told you for over a decade you should not eat the egg yolk. The white started coming in, but that yolk stayed out because of the cholesterol obsession. Okay. It's very dense in 13 vitamins and minerals. It's got lutein, especially good for eye health. And okay, by the way, anything that's good for the heart is good for the brain. Anything good for the brain is good for the heart. We used to say in cardiology, men die of heart disease, women die of dementia, because dementia is the later stage of vascular disease. So if it's good for the heart, it's good for the brain. You just think that. Okay. If it's anti-cancer, it's good for your immune system because your immune system kills the cancer cell. So things good for your immune system help you from getting, the flu, other diseases, is also anti-cancer. So whatever's good for one is good for the other. That's a good way to think of it. Very high in antioxidants, decrease inflammation. Inflammation's number one cause of heart disease. We made you more inflammatory when we told you to eat trans fats and not saturated, by the way. Ezekiel bread is an example. Ezekiel 4:9 is a Bible verse. God told the Israelites to bring wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, smelt, and put it together in a pot and let it sprout and make bread out of it. By golly, this combination has all the essential amino acids. I think that's sort of cool. And it's a sprouted bread. Sprouting, instead of flour, just sprout the grain, gives you much more vitamins and minerals. So sprouted is a very healthy option. Ezekiel breads are a good option. Now we're going to get to fats. All right, let's see how we're doing. This is the low-fat food recommendation. How do we do? Every age group started getting a problem with obesity. Every last age group, including 18 to 29-year-olds, which are supposed to be the healthiest. Everyone started having a problem with obesity. Go figure. What do you think happens when you eat carbs? Carbs make you hungry. Okay, they tell you, the experts, the only reason you got sick is you weren't paying attention to us. So let's take a look at that. Saturated fat consumption, right here. We paid attention. Carb consumption, the blue line. Whoa, it went way up. How did that happen? Low fat was often high carb. Total calorie consumption. Remember they said eat less fat so you have less calories overall? No, that's not what happened because you got hungry and you started eating the grains and they were processed grains and I'll be darned, you took in a lot more calories. Now let's look at obesity. Through the roof. There's a direct correlation with what we did with our food. And did we listen? Yes, we did. But we got toxic advice. And no, we all didn't. I want to be really clear. I didn't. I didn't feel good not eating egg. Remember, I'm the one that's a meat eater. I did cereal one day for breakfast. I was hungry within 20 minutes, and I said, this is not going to work for me. And I went right back to my eggs and bacon, right back to it. Now I mostly eat protein shakes for breakfast. As we get older, we alter our feed eating pattern to match how quickly our body is willing to put on weight. We also alter our exercise habits because now I have to do more things with weights where before I didn't. Walking was good enough, biking was good enough. Well, now I got to do weights because we lose muscle. So if I want to eat more, I'm going to have to build more muscle. Okay. So I changed what I ate over time. Okay, obesity and diabetes are on a dangerous high. 21 to 29 Americans. I brought up a slideshow, which was not the most recent that I actually updated again. We are up to 40% diabetes in America. 40%. Again, last night I did some last minute research, 40%. Not from 21 to 29, all the way to 40%. So you better believe the new pyramid was necessary because we are toxic. As a humanity, America health is in the toilet. And our food has been overprocessed, go whole and natural. And we have more drugs, and the side effect of several drugs, of course, are obesity, especially the antidepressive drugs. Fats are essential for growth, energy, regulation, and to feel full. Don't have enough fat, you get hungry, especially if you added more carbs. You can only get fat-soluble vitamins and essential fatty acids. Essential means got to get it from food, from fat in your food. So when you do the low-fat version of everything, guess what you missed? The essential fatty acids and the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K. Okay, we did that to our diet. These are all healthy fats. And this is interesting. I gave you baked goods. Baked goods used to be made with lard or butter. And when it was better for us. It still had more carbs, but the type of fat at least had some nutritional value. And for heaven's sakes, it wasn't the trans fat that directly caused inflammation. So there was a time where eating the occasional pastry was not a bad idea at all. But when it's made with trans fat, it is. Okay, so butter, margarine, etc. Cholesterol is the basic building block of every cell in your body. Protein is there, fat is there, and cholesterol is there. Cholesterol is essential to build your all your hormones, estrogen, testosterone, insulin. Every hormone needs cholesterol to be built. That's the building block that your body can use. We used to say LDL is lousy, HDL is healthy. Well, LDL is the only cholesterol that is used to build and repair vessels. HDL stays in your blood. HDL's job is to pick up the old LDL, bring it back to the liver so the liver can break it down and then make whatever it thinks your body needs. It's pre-programmed. Okay, hormone and digestion of food, you need cholesterol to be able to do it. And fats. This is the old type of plaque that took 20 years. This is the new plaque, which has too much inflammation that causes sudden heart attacks. We started having more of this because we ate more inflammatory foods. The old process, 20 years, the new process, within 1 hour, you're blocked off. Young people are more prone to this one. This one is the most dangerous. You lose the most muscle mass. Young people with heart attacks are in the worst shape because they don't have collateral circulation to bring blood to the muscle. Um, um, so what foods improve lower cholesterol? Psyllium inulum, fiber, natural fibers. Psyllium is found in beans, vegetables, broccoli, asparagus. The pulp on the inside of the broccoli and asparagus is the psyllium. It's a soluble fiber. And the outside is an insoluble that's just roughage. So if you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you eat broccoli and asparagus with your steak. And it'll trap the cholesterol from the bile you made to digest the fat in the steak and that came in the steak. And with eggs. It traps the cholesterol in the gut. It never gets into your blood to lower cholesterol. So if you're taking fiber to lower cholesterol, you have to take it with your meat. You have to take it when you eat nuts, when you eat something fatty. If you take fiber by itself, it'll be good roughage, you'll have a good bowel movement. You will not lower cholesterol. That was an important fact. It lowers it by being in your gut when the fat gets in your gut, and then it traps it and you eliminate it. So these are the foods you eat with your meat, and they're very common foods, even when you're eating out in a restaurant, and they will help lower your cholesterol. Almonds and walnuts have some of the best research on beneficial effects on cholesterol and on heart disease. Fish oil, avocado, excellent, excellent fat. And I'm not telling you to eat a bunch of lard or butter. I want to be really clear. I'm telling you it's safe to do in moderation. That is what I'm telling you. If you need some to cook with it. Avoid the trans fats. Metamucil psyllium are high in the best soluble fibers. Okay, that traps cholesterol. This is my fat research study. They studied research between the years of 1977 and 1983. This is again a meta-analysis. They looked at everything that was existing that had better quality, and what did they come up with? No evidence to support the dietary fat recommendations. We never had the evidence that we should do it, and we're still doing it. Okay, we got now. This study is crucial. This was a study came out. It was actually 1994. This isn't my upgraded slides, which is really too bad. I don't know where it is, but it's not here. Okay, so it was 1994 that they did the Lionel study. It was published in New England Journal of Medicine. Sorry, it was published in the Lancet, which is a cardiac journal. The New England Journal wouldn't publish it because it wasn't the mainstream, but it was dire importance. It had 605 people. All of them already had had a history of a heart attack. And one group did the Mediterranean diet, a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, multiple colors, whole meats, not this low-fat anything, yogurts, very prevalent in Mediterranean. The control group ate a low saturated fat and overall low fat and low cholesterol diet. In other words, they lived the recommendations of 1977. Oops, they had to stop the study early because there was a 70% reduction in all-cause death. There was a 76% reduction in cardiovascular death. And this is what I actually looked up, and so it's too bad. But all-cause heart disease, stroke, angina, there was anywhere from 55 to 70% reduction. Does that not blow your mind? To do this caused more heart disease and death? They had to stop the study. It was unethical to continue it and to tell anyone to do this. Most journals wouldn't publish it. We knew that from the beginning. And I told you, I studied research. I pulled the studies. I knew. I knew. We can. The beat goes on, doesn't it? Okay. Cholesterol's ability to fight toxins. Remember I told you LDL cholesterol repairs and builds? If you have inflammation in some part of your body, you're sick, you have a cold, you were in an accident, you've got inflammation going on, your liver will make more LDL so you can repair. So, what am I telling you now? Never do a lipid profile when you're sick. Don't do a lipid profile if you just got, you fell. Don't do it because you're going to be higher than you normally are because your liver's making more LDL for you so you can heal. That's really important. I tell all my people don't do the repeat cholesterol study for my people in my program if you're sick. I said, just don't do it yet. Okay. Blaming cholesterol for the injury, the heart disease, is like blaming the fireman for the fire. The fireman rushed to the fire. Cholesterol rushes to, the LDL cholesterol specifically, rushes to areas of damage. Important, important. That's in The Great Cholesterol Myth. It's a book written by a cardiologist and a nutritionist. The other quotes from that book, the true culprit of heart disease is inflammation, sugar, high-carb diets full of processed foods. It's nutrient lacking. Dissenting voices were drowned out by the cholesterol chorus, they still are, and backing by the pharmaceutical and regulatory agencies shut down important information, but he put it in a book. And he's quoting the Lionel study. That's actually where I first heard about it. These are the colors you eat for heart health. Detoxifies, less oxidation damage, and again, the red and the blue. So that's what you eat. Now, so you understand types of fat. This is a saturated fat. Every carbon has hydrogen and it's got single bonds. Short chain fatty acid. Short, same version of this, only very short. This becomes important when I tell you about fiber-loving bacteria. This is a monounsaturated. Only one set of carbon has a double bond that's missing its hydrogen. This is polyunsaturated. Omega-3, omega-6 are polyunsaturated. You have two or more double bonds. Omega-6 actually is 2 to 6. Okay, this is the most stable. It's got no ports opened where something could oxidize it, like a free radical could oxidize it. The more polyunsaturated, the easier it is to get rancid and be oxidized. This is a natural occurring trans fat. You know, the hydrogen's on the same side. Well, sometimes in nature, the hydrogen flips. So instead of being up, one is down and one is up. This is a picture of man-made trans fat. It became stiffer, which is what we wanted. We're replacing lard. Okay. Do you notice this is all crooked? Do you notice this is straight up and down? Well, guess what? Your white blood cells see the crooked little hydrogen there and says, "What are you?" So its purpose is to kill foreign invaders. You were eating a foreign invader. So when this got in your blood, your white blood cells started to eat it and die, otherwise known as inflammation. See, things found in nature, most of us, our body finds it as normal and good for us. Man-made, some of us find the man-made stuff as foreign, and then you get inflammation. And we did. And the research told us we were doing it early on, and they didn't back off. Too much money invested in the trans fat industry. This is fat from grass-fed animals, omega-3. This is omega-3 from corn-fed. DHA is the major omega-3 that is good for the brain. When we gave the fat recommendations, the first group of physicians that said, "Oh, no, no, you're going to have to stop," were pediatricians. After 6 months, they sounded the alarm. Children were missing brain developmental milestones. Their brain wasn't developing. I knew that early on, too. And this was my reaction to that. Huh. So only babies' brains need fat? Adult brains needed fat all along, all along. So what the FDA did was they said up to the age of 2, do full fat. After that, go 2%. And once you are a teenager and older, go fat-free. Wrong. Dead wrong. This is a cow that's grass-fed, omega-3 to 6. This is a cow that's corn-fed, omega-3 to 6. Corn is high in 6. I won't have time to go into this more, but I'm going to tell you the bottom line that happened there. Both omega-6 and 3 are good for us. They're anti-inflammatory. When you have way too much 6 and not enough 3, that state in the human being is inflammatory. Go figure. So when you started doing corn oil instead of butter or coconut oil, you created too much omega-6 and your body became inflammatory. You need to eat fish. You need to eat natural sources of fat. And they did, after about 7 years, tell you to eat, more natural fats. They admitted they were creating a mess, but not enough to undo what they did. You'll see what the different omega-3s are, but I'm telling you the DHA is the one best for the brain. Oh, and DHA is in animal products, not animal products. Some algae, but not plants, have DHA. Plants have mostly ALA. Your body can transfer some LAA and make some of these, but not that much. And guess what? When you got too much omega-6, you can't make these out of the ALA. We did everything wrong. Okay, these are fats. Now, this is important when you're cooking. Unrefined fat in general should be eaten cold. Use it as a salad dressing, but don't cook with it. Extra virgin olive oil started having a temperature rating about 320. That's a quick saute. And notice unrefined canola oil is only 225. Avoid the unrefined for cooking. Peanut oil, unrefined 320, but refined peanut oil, let me find it here. Now that I'm looking for it, I'm not finding it, but it's around 370. Coconut oil is 350, just like butter, which is again good for a quick saute. Lard was 370, better. Oh, and why do you care about smoke point? When a fat hits a smoke point, it actually becomes toxic to us and carcinogenic. So if you ever walk into a restaurant that does a lot of deep frying and it smells smoky, walk out because the oils became too hot, and then they're not good for you. Refined canola oil, 400. Um, lard again, 470. Coconut oil, okay. Um, Sesame oil, 410. That is your wok cooking. Chinese always uses sesame oil. That's the flavor of Chinese. Sesame oil. So sesame oil is very heat tolerant, excellent, excellent for sautéing, wok cooking, high smoke point. Very, very good. Peanut oil. Here we go, 440. Peanut oil is what Chick-fil-A uses. I want to say Five Guys, and they also recently went to using actually beef tallow. They went back to the lard. But they were always using a better oil anyways, the peanut oil, which is tastes good, tastes better, and can take oil. Now, avocado oil, 520 degrees, right here. You can buy avocado oil spray. Do not buy Pam, buy avocado oil. This has the highest smoke point. This is what you put on your grills because it can take the grilling temperatures and it won't smoke. What I do with this is I like the taste of butter. I spray the avocado oil in the pan. Then I put in my butter. It'll raise the smoke point of the butter. So now the butter won't smoke as quickly. So I add this. I added also the coconut oil because it has a very high smoke point, and then you get a combined. Okay, so that's that. Um, okay, I told you about the omega-3 ratio. Can't do much else. Not going to do much more with that. Visceral fat also promotes inflammation, by the way, which is the number one cause of heart disease. I gave you a handout on things that are anti-inflammatory, full disclosure, chia seed, flax seed, multicolor fruits and vegetables, olive oil, garlic, very good for you. Okay. Cholesterol from food is only 20 to 30% anyways. That's why focusing on the food never made that much sense. Fiber, that's what we often think of from carbs, but this is what I want you to think of. And the fiber is important. There's the fiber that's soluble, traps sugar, fat, and cholesterol in the gut. Psyllium, asparagus, broccoli.
Hey,
Insoluble
Liz.
fiber
Liz, I'm
cleans your
so
gut.
sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Liz. We've hit almost 7:50, and I know
Okay,
people have kids they have to put to bed, and maybe they haven't eaten dinner. So this is so good, but I
okay,
think we just have to wrap it up.
okay. I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay,
Too much
thank you.
sugar kills your pancreas. You kill the beta cells and you get diabetes. You need all the colors of fruits and vegetables to stay healthy. You've got a great handout on it. And you need fiber to feed the fiber-loving bacteria, which make short-chain fatty acid, which is anti-inflammatory and makes you feel full. So you either eat the fiber or you eat the saturated fat. You eat the short chain, which is in coconut oil, lard, butter from grass-fed animals, and either way you get enough of the short chain fatty acid to feel full. That is it. Okay, questions?
It was a full
Well,
session.
it was, and I was too relaxed.
No, it's
Which,
good.
well, I elaborated more. I was too relaxed. But all right, that's okay.
I don't know that we have any questions in the chat, but we're looking real quick. Um, and a few people said great information, well said, thank you. Uh, so I had, would you just explain briefly the buffering process?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you did, but
Protein,
yes.
fat. Your gut can only absorb so much at a time. So when you drink orange juice, that's mostly carbs. The carb gets into your blood really, really fast, stimulates the pancreas to give it a bunch of insulin. You're going to wear out your pancreas if you keep doing that. And then you sometimes the pancreas produces more than it needs. You get low. Now you're hungry, and now you eat more carbs. So you're on a cycle of carbs. It makes you chronically hungry. You buffer it by slowing the absorption into the blood by eating meat, protein, fat, fiber buffers carbs, and acid buffers carbs. So if your salad dressing is vinegar and oil or lemon, you're slowing the carb absorption. So vinegar and acid, protein and fat. And again, you can only absorb so much at one time. So if you're busy absorbing protein and fat, the sugar has to take its turn and it doesn't get into your blood as fast. So don't eat the bread before the meat. Eat some meat and then take a bite of bread. You want to mix it in your gut so the sugar gets in slowly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's not how they serve it at a restaurant. They give you the bread ahead of
That is
time.
correct. That is
Okay, we
correct.
have two questions, and they're really good ones. I want to know the answers. One is eggs. Do they need to be organic?
Okay, okay. Um, no, I'll start with that statement. However, if you're going to eat the whole thing, like vegetables that you eat the whole plant, go organic because you don't want a bunch of stuff sprayed on it. If you peel it, you don't need to go organic necessarily to get rid of the pollutions. So the egg, of course, you're not eating the shell. So you don't have to. But organic is the animal often ate food with more nutrients. So those nutrients will translate into added nutrient in the egg. So organic, Eggland's Best example, those chickens are fed really good nutrients. I have friends who have free range chicken. I get their eggs. That's what I want. And that's when you often get the brown. The yolk is dark and the egg tastes better. So if you take a organic or grass fed and do a regular cheap egg, not Eggland's Best, you're going to see it looks different and it tastes different. So you'll get more nutrients out of the other, but you don't have to. It's not that the other egg doesn't give you nutrients, but it doesn't give you as much. Does that answer?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Is it true?
Animals, you want more grass-fed though, if you can do it.
Right.
Fish, you don't want the farmed fish, you want the wild Alaskan. Okay, go ahead.
Is it true that combining meat and potatoes in a stew is a sugar bomb?
That's interesting. Sugar bomb. In other words, are you saying it'll slow the absorption of the sugar?
I don't know.
I don't
It
know
was
what they mean by
Anna.
sugar bomb, but I am going to tell you, yes, if you put meat in with the potato, remember I said meat buffers the carb. So the potato will not raise your blood sugar as
Oh,
much if you eat it in a stew with meat, but
okay.
it will raise your blood sugar more if you eat it straight.
Okay, so
If
she
you
meant high
put
in
butter
sugar.
on your potato, you are slowing the sugar absorption of the potato. So sour cream and butter on your potato is a good idea to slow the absorption of the sugar. You have to buffer the carb.
Great. And then if you're eating breakfast, veggies or fruit first?
Interesting. Okay. Protein first.
And then it
That's my
doesn't matter.
answer. I get hypoglycemic. Hypoglycemia is when your pancreas tends to overreact if you eat too much carb. So as a teenager, I didn't know what hypoglycemia was, but I knew I felt good if I ate a hamburger and then dessert. But if I have pasta and dessert, I was pickled. So when I feel like having oatmeal, I will eat two eggs, then I will eat the oatmeal.
Mm.
So you eat protein first to slow the absorption of the carb. How do you know how much you have to slow it? How do you feel? If you're a diabetic, for heaven's sakes, buffer your carbs. And for heaven's sakes, don't eat so many carbs. You will be told you can have 75 grams of carbs per meal. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
What
Go
is
as
the good
low as you
amount?
can. Pardon me?
What would
What's a
be
good
a
amount?
goal?
I mean, what is an average amount that's still okay?
Yeah,
Um, 15 to 35. Aim for
in
that.
carbs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're diabetic. If you're not diabetic, you can get away with more every now and then in a meal, but don't do it all the time. You'll wear out your pancreas. We have diabetics now who do not have a family history of diabetes. Why? They've been eating low fat, high sugar for their whole life.
Yeah.
The children were doing it. We didn't start eating crazy until at least after 30. And so we had more of a foundation. Okay. Thank you. Fun
Thank
talking to you.
you.
And did
So
you get
much
the
good.
bottom line? Eat a variety, always get enough fruit, food, protein, and a variety of healthy natural fats. They're all good. don't eat super high fat because you're going to put on weight. Take care.
Thank you
Welcome.
so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye-bye.